So guys, it is the 9th of January and I made it. Bro, for all of you guys that may have seen my stream last night, um, yeah, the fires came within like 5 miles from where I live. I could see the flames. Uh, all of my neighbors evacuated, but since we were just a little bit outside the mandatory evac zone and the warning zone, I decided to stay. I was the only person in this complex that did, and now all my neighbors are back. I was right. The fire never got too close, but it is extremely smoky outside. I don't think I'll be going outside today at all because you can smell it, your eyes sting, you can taste it. It's just really unhealthy. So, yeah, California's kind of a mess right now. It just smells like a campfire outside, which is crazy because we're like in the middle of the city. So, with all of this being said, there's some interesting stuff going on in the world. Two things I want to show you specifically. The first is that Trump, who's about to be president of the United States, most powerful man in the world, is calling for the resignation of our governor in California, Gavin Newsom, who's just, classic American psychopath, doesn't care about helping people, doesn't think about things logically or rationally because they purposely divert water from Northern California out into the ocean to preserve the life of a random minnow that like apparently lives in the water. But if we had had access to that water, many homes wouldn't have been destroyed and this wouldn't have been so severe. Gavin Newsom is a disgrace, but of course, classic leftism to sacrifice anything on the altar of their woke ideology, which includes climate control, protect the minnow, protect this random species of minnow rather than let homes burn down. Put humans first. This is what I mean when I say the left is thoroughly anti-humanity. And Alex Jones was talking about this, and I completely agree, which is that what they did through this negligence was a form of attack, a form of terrorism on humanity, a betrayal where they put not only the life of this minnow, but the incoherent architecture of their ideology above people's well-being. Firefighters were pulling up to fire hydrants and there was no water in the hydrants because they've diverted water away. Disgusting. What's crazy though is that the people that are infected by this woke ideology still, right now, if you were to say this to them with the end results, with the consequences, with the proof that they're wrong, it would still be as if you're speaking a different language because they consider themselves to be superior not just to you, but to reality and to the mechanisms of objective truth, like logic and coherence. If I were to say to your average liberal living here, yeah, we really mismanaged the water because firefighters couldn't get water out of the hydrants, they would say, oh, well, it wasn't their fault, blah, 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 we need DEI. Like, their brains are thoroughly broken, and this is the reason why we need swift accountability to teach these people that reality comes first, because the only way you can get a psychopath to engage with reality is by showing them consequences, because that's the only thing they understand. They don't understand morality. Here's Trump calling for Newsom's resignation.
President-elect Trump is calling out California's Gavin Newsom over the state's response to the fires and its long-term planning.
President-elect Donald Trump is highly critical of California Governor Gavin Newsom's water management decisions in the years preceding these horrific fires. Trump says that Newsom should have and refused to sign a water declaration or a water restoration declaration that could have put California in a much better position to fight these fires.
Absolutely. And if he had done that, the outside would not smell like a campfire right now. It literally smells like a campfire in Los Angeles. It's crazy. And people I know have lost their homes. This is all as a result of worshipped incompetence by our leadership. And when I say worshipped incompetence, I mean that literally. They worship DEI because they put modern Marxism above reality. And their altar is this once great state that has been destroyed over the last decade, and their sacrifices are anything good and coherent left that they can get their hands on, whether that be children or women or the affordability of people's lives and being able to exist, the safety of the streets, those who maintain order like police. It is a sickness. Liberalism and leftism is a sickness because fundamentally it's built on the resentment Marxism has for reality. Marxism initiated itself through a resentment of economic positions, but really, and we can see this now, I can see this now in the 21st century, given that the resentment of Marxism is branched out into every single sect of intersectionalism, where any way they can draw a distinction is grounds in their mind for this resentment. meaning that the resentment is for distinction itself, for category, for coherence, because coherence is the architecture of category, and logic and reason and rationality are the mechanisms that reveal truth as derivative from reality.
I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration.
I mean, I'm not going to play the rest of this Fox video because who cares what they have to say? We just heard what Trump has to say. That's what matters. But again, there are real consequences to democratic incompetence. Like, this has never happened before. Many of my neighbors are women. They were terrified last night. Shouldn't happen. But we cannot be afraid to call out this incompetency. And it's more difficult if you're living in these states because you don't know if the people you're talking to are liberals, staunch liberals, but you have to get over that fear because they're wrong and their ideology is horrific and anti-civilizational. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Every single person I talk to about these fires, I will be mentioning the mismanagement, the prevention of getting water over the sake of this little fish, over the sake of a leftist ideology, which despises logic and reason. Moving on to something else which I found interesting, being the funeral of Carter. Now, the reason I found this interesting is because all the presidents who exchanged very harsh words with each other in favor of an ideology are now sitting together and being cordial. Obama and Trump were speaking for minutes together as if they're sort of, not just acquaintances, but like they have mutual respect. That's what it is. They were talking to each other as if they have mutual respect. And that's because these presidents that campaigned on the left, maybe with the exception of Kamala, all know that they were serving an ideology which on some level was counterfeit and performative, like a drama. They were being fake. That's not good. But the fact that they're able to be respectful here shows the disconnect between most people and the way things actually are, which is that these people know that there is still respect between each other. Whereas liberals and leftists will demonize any person that votes for Trump because they're not a part of the correct cult. Now, there's still obviously drama here. It's kind of funny. This could be a reality TV show. We have the recently vanquished communists, Doug Emhoff and Kamala Harris, sitting there next to Jill Biden and Joe, who is sharp as a tack. And then we have the disgraced Vice President Pence sitting behind Trump. I doubt they'll be talking afterwards. We have the also vanquished Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump beaten 2 women in elections. That's not a sentence that should be taken out of context. Despite the delusions of the left, reality wins. Coherence wins. Masculinity prevails. And all these people know it, and they have to live with it. Anyway, let's go to X and see what people are saying about the fires. Apparently 13 minutes ago, there's another fire in West Hills. I don't even know where West Hills is. Okay, it's really far. It's like north of Santa Monica. That's pretty far away. Very bizarre, though. It's bizarre. And one of these moments happened on my stream last night. If you guys are interested in what it looks like for a true gamer mad lad to play StarCraft at a high level in the middle of a fire, go watch the stream that I streamed last night. Just go to the live tab and you'll see a very based stream. You can enjoy that if you want to. Gaming with some of my friends. There was a moment where another fire broke out and I was like, okay, there's no way this is an accident. I think that some of this is deliberate because it just doesn't make sense. Why are fires in different areas starting at the same time? Oh yeah, I should mention this woman was confronted. She was confronted for being completely incompetent. She had just gotten back from Haiti or some other place while California was burning. This is the mayor of Los Angeles. Of course she is, right? This is another example of sacrificing anything on the altar of civilization of California. We need to get more black women to be firefighters. We need more black women to be firefighters. This is the goal. That's what DEI is. How about you put competence above skin color, you racists? Jesus. But this is the face of evil. And I remind you all that proclivity to abide in left-wing authoritarian regimes is correlated with a feminine personality, which is why so many destroyed, psychopathic, single childless women are being exploited by the left-wing ideology to such an extent. I speculated on stream last night that it was probably a homeless person, but we don't exactly know where it's coming from. The inability for liberals to connect the dots and recognize that this massive failure to the fire, and that's what it was, massive failure, is directly as a result of their decisions and predispositions. The problem is that they have actually practiced delusion for months and years, where every time they've had an opportunity to make sense and use coherent ideas like logic and reason, they've demonized those things as oppressive and gone the opposite direction, which is the reason why California has been on a downward trend for a decade. It's really simple, actually. When you reject logic and reason and demonize it as oppressive, you automatically go the opposite direction because you don't want to be oppressed. And when you go the opposite direction of logic and reason, you go downhill because that's incoherent chaos. So California's been taking the path of incoherent chaos by labeling logic and reason and rationality and every other system of coherence as inherently oppressive. And so you have this institutionalized delusion, which you're also seeing in the UK, where women are literally voting in their parliament against investigating gangs that rape little girls. Because again, their opposition is actually to truth and harmony and coherence itself. This is the architecture of the left. It destroys women's psyches by telling them any form of objectivity, which can take the form of masculinity, because masculinity is a sophisticated apparatus for embodying objective reality. That's the reason it's useful. That's the reason it built civilization, by the way, is oppressive. And so anything that reminds you that you're an individual with the necessity to take responsibility for an objective world is untenable, and you have to reject that. And that's how you have women voting against investigating gangs that are literally ravaging young girls. It's crazy, but that is the end-case scenario. The UK isn't protected by our enshrined rights, like free speech, most importantly, which is the reason why people are going to jail and afraid to speak out. People are going to jail for speaking out against these savages, and many of them are getting longer sentences than those who ravage little girls. So that's the state of the UK, and it's induced by this feminine degeneracy that is preyed upon by the left-wing ideology. It's very easily preyed upon because they're not logical thinkers. All these people are suffering, and their suffering is as a direct result of leftist incompetence. And hey, this isn't about politics anymore. This is about a denial of reality, a thorough delusion. And that's what this video needs to be about. People need to understand that. If you're watching, guys, and you like what I'm saying, so support me by going to abrahambiyer.locals.com. It's linked in the description. YouTube has demonetized my channel, so I make no money from this. So if you want to support and make this possible, go and become a member. Go and become a member there for less than the price of a coffee. It's really cheap, and I appreciate all of you. And the great part about Locals too is that the money isn't split, really. It all goes to the creator. So I appreciate if you do that. Subscribe to the channel, follow me on X, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Glad I'm still here.